What's up, my fellow vapors? We are back with another new product from the Simrell collection. We are going to be checking out the Simrell Scoopy Scoop, and we're going to have a scoop off to give you the scoop on scoops. And in this showdown, we're going to be putting up these $8 Norpro Amazon special set of scoops. This somewhat known scoop that exists in the vape industry, which is $39.99, and the array of Simrell scoops, which are designed all the same, just aesthetically different, material different, $49 to $120. This wonderful set of scoops here will be put up to the challenges that you see here. We'll be going through grinders, how they fit, small bowls for battery vapes or dosing capsules, and how much of a mess these make with what scoop, and last up with the desktop injector bowls that a lot of us are using in the dry herb vape space today. To start off this video, I want to talk about something that has already kind of come up in some of the comments on that wonderful place, Reddit iRoll, and that is about the price. We're going to start with the price here of the options. This is a fully milled titanium scoop, and this clocks in at $100. I know some of you might think that that is expensive for a scoop, but coming from some of the other collector spaces out there, especially the knife collector space or the EDC collector space that have a lot of pocketable titanium objects, this really isn't so far-fetched. This is a fully milled piece of titanium that is made in America. You know, you are paying for quality here. There's a lot of really well thought out design in this particular scoop. It's not just, hey, let's make something that can scoop up flour and put it out there. For those of you that have a more budget in mind, he did come out with an economical version of the Scoopy Scoop made out of aluminum. This one clocks in at $49. Which is kind of on par with some of the other scoops on the market, which clock in at $39.99. Then, last up, we have the collector's item, the creme de la creme, the Lamborghini of scoops. An urban camo design, anodized by Austin himself. This is one of my favorite designs when it comes to anodization. This is definitely a collector's item and priced to match that. These start at $120 for the colored versions of these scoops. And I will be honest with you, they're incredibly difficult to get. Now we're going to put it to the test and see how this scoop stacks up against some other scoops. We have the Norpros. These ones are just a simple set of measuring scoops that a good friend recommended to me, and I've been loving them. These are very good for those of you that want to dose out different amounts of maybe different strains or THC CBD type situation, but these are $8. You know, they weren't really designed with this application in mind, so you can take them off the keychains and stuff, but you know, it is what it is with the measuring scoop. And then also we have this scoop from a company called Old Head, and it's been a scoop that's been around for a while. It's one of the more well-known dry herb vape scoops out there on the market. And this scoop right here is $39.99. So you're only at about a $10 difference between these two scoops. Just to go over some real basics, just about aesthetics first when I'm choosing scoops in general. These measuring ones, I mean, that's pretty basic. You hold them flat, super easy. Makes sense to kind of scoop that way. Thin design, so they bend kind of easy, which is okay. You know, again, $8. Then you go for the more specific scoop option. You kind of move up in the food chain here, and you have the Old Head scoop. This one was kind of awkward. When I first got it, you know, you take the scoop out and you go to pick it up. I was questioning how to hold this thing because it's got a round and a flat edge. It felt very weird for me to hold this thing. I was like, do I hold it like this? Like this? Like, how am I supposed to do this properly to really get the scoop to work the way that it should? And it was just kind of awkward. And then I even thought about holding it back here for a sec, but that was like really heavy, and I don't know, that also feels weird. The next thing I noticed about aesthetic wise is it had a very wide top part like this, and it comes down, which is made me wonder, what is it going to fit in? Like, what is this scoop going to do? And then you jump over to the Simrell one. You have a nice thin handle, which is very ergonomic to hold in a numerous amount of ways. There isn't anything that really feels awkward about this. The back end is real nice, and it stands up flat like that, which is great. Also a tamper on this side. And because of the shape of the bucket that really curves up, when you scoop through your material, it really pushes all of the material into the scoop. Whereas when you scoop with this, it kind of pushes through and overflows sometimes. Now that we've gone through the aesthetics and general ergonomics of the scoops, let's show them in action. We're going to start out with grinders. Since most of you are going to be using these scoops in your grinder, this is a great place to really see how these scoops do. A cheap $8 option, this is definitely a good move. The fit. I've been using these for the last couple months. This was my scoop option before I got the Scoopy Scoop. So I know that these work fairly well for an $8 option, and the fit is pretty good. The rounded bottom does go into the corner of the grinder pretty well. It is a little awkward if you're trying to scoop just off the very top, if your grinder's pretty full, just because this neck is thicker, so it does collide with the side of your grinder. And then in smaller grinders, it barely does reach, but you don't really have like a lot of mobility since the handle is very thick. You can jump down a size, but then you're really scooping up not a lot of material. The other problem I've encountered with these scoops is, I could take them off the keychain, but then I have to keep track of all of these scoops, so I tend to leave them as a set. And what happens is if I scoop something up, and then I'm doing something else, or I'm holding it and this hits something or gets caught on something, or I go to tip it onto something and this is like a hazard now to me. Or if you want to set it down for some reason, it's kind of awkward because you have all this stuff to kind of deal with. So it's like really hard to kind of just set it down in the grinder or do something like that, So fitment, it's okay. The mess factor is a little high with these just because of the amount of stuff you have to deal with. Next up, in the grinders, we're going to do the old head scoop here. So along with just awkwardly trying to hold this thing as you operate the grinder, the other thing that I noticed with the old head scoop is that when you try and go into the corner of the grinder, because the scoop has such a wide flat front, you actually can't really get into the corner to go around this way. To get into the corner, you have to go up like this. So if you're trying to scoop kind of the last of your material out of the grinder, it can be kind of tedious to try and like push it all to one side and then get it up like this. You can't really do like a turn like this. Does it work? I mean, yeah, sure. In this smaller grinder, this old head one, it doesn't fit. You kind of have to like really use this in a specific way to get into this grinder. And not all grinders are big like the flour mill. A lot are smaller like this, or if you have a brilliant cut, it also has a post in the middle, which can really make this annoying to work inside of a grinder. This one is a little less messy than those other ones because there's a lot less to deal with. I did find it kind of, again, awkward, and which causes mess, that when I have to like change my grip to like get the scoop into the bottom and then move it like this, and I don't know, it can lend to the mess. Definitely not as messy as these, but just not as ergonomic to use in the grinder. I did like that this one has a nice big flat base, so it stands up to keep your spoon off the desk, which is kind of nice. All right, now for the cream of the crop here, the Simrell scoop. Left-handed, right-handed, doesn't really matter. It's really easy to hold, wield, and to get all the way around. Because it's got a smaller, skinnier handle, you can get much more of an angle to really get into the corners of your grinder. And with one solid pass, it picks up a bunch. And it really sticks in there. And you can almost turn this scoop directly to the side without spilling a bunch of stuff out. So mess, almost zero with this. Really easy to fit in. Great, really easy. fits. You can get a really steep angle in there without colliding into the pole to really get all of the flour out of that grinder. And this one also does stand up straight. Once you scoop your stuff out of a grinder, you're probably going to want to put it somewhere, like a stash, a pop tube like this for on-the-go use. Some of you have wooden stashes like this that have like a little material compartment next to it. You know, something that's always been kind of difficult to fill. Do you get like a paper funnel? Or, you know, I've seen all sorts of creative ways on how to fill little stashes. First up, we're going to go with the Norpros. And I'm just going to compare it to the big size. I can downsize scoops to make it fit better, but we're just going with the big size because that's kind of the same volume of measurement. The fit. So we scoop some out. That's good. And we can put it in there. All right, that one fits kind of good, but then, you know, you got to like tip it up and tip this down because this doesn't really empty it out when you do it like this. So fitment. Mess, I'd say that's pretty no mess because that was in there all the way. Next up, we have the old head scoop. Go ahead and scoop some of this out. We're going to put it in there. Little bit of a mess because you can't put it in there. So if you mountain some flour on top of the scoop, it's kind of spill prone to get into there. So fitment, not really. And if it's like a wood one like this, it's going to be the same deal where it's going to be kind of awkward and not really fit and spill over the sides. Last up, Simrell scoop. We're going to go ahead, do a big scoop. See if we can get it to mountain up. Make sure it's real, you know, high potential for spillage. It does hold the mountain a little bit. Like you can shake it around. All right, put it in there. Boom. Fits great. No mess. Didn't really have to like do a hard tip. There was enough room to get it to tip up and dump out. Since it's so short on the top, you can do like a rotation, like a bloop, to dump it out and then pull it out. That's pretty cool. I'll show you. So it can just go up, bloop, little dump out, just like that. Ah, very nice. So looks like on the stash fill challenge, Simrell Scoopy Scoop taking the cake. Next up, we're going to talk about small bowls, like for your electronic battery device or for your dosing capsules. Myself, I'd probably drop down to a dash at this point, but again, you know, we're going to stay with the same testing, so we test apples to apples. So you get this scoop. This is awkward. I don't know which way to do this. I feel like this is going to be messy no matter how I do it. So here we go. Oof. Mess galore. Yuck. Or not yuck, but mess. We're going to try this one. All right, here we go. Okay, a little spillage over on the side there. So, fitment, medium. Not really the best for this application. Mess, very messy. I don't know if I would use these for battery vapes, really. All right, next up, we have the old head scoop. Scoop this up, get some of that. Okay, medium. A little less than the Norpros, but still messy. And it fit, I don't know, it didn't really fit in there that much. Dump that out. Okay, yeah, back on the messy. This fit a little better. That felt less weird, trying to dump it in there. But still a lot of overages. Last up in the small bowls challenge, going the Simrell Scoopy Scoop. We'll go with the titanium one this time. It doesn't really matter. They're all the same shape. That's probably too much for this little dosing cap, so I can say the mess is going to be a lot less. And the fitment was kind of better. It did definitely go in there. With some practice, I could probably get that way less messier. I'm already way more pleased with this situation. Then we'll get another big scoop. Yeah, way less messy. Fits way better. And because of the shape, like when you tip it up, you don't really get that like overflow on the sides or from like up top or on the sides. Well, there it is. There you have it. So far, we're up for the Simrell Scoopy Scoop, sweeping the competition. Last up in the showdown, we got the top dogs, the desktop large bowls. For this one, I have my Herborizer injector bowl. This is a pretty standard 18.5 mil size up top. It's what a lot of injectors use, so we'll get a pretty good idea of how the scoops go with this. First up, we got the Norpros. So usually your bowl's sitting on top of your piece like this. These are pretty good. They fit in there. They don't really go all the way down. So when this part, especially in the Herborizer, sometimes if the dry flower touches this top part when it's hot, the crystals on the outside of the material can start to degrade or vaporize. So it's kind of annoying that the Norpros don't go past this point of the bowl. It does help to lower the mess that it fits all the way in there, but it's just ergonomically kind of weird and doesn't really fit. Because you can't tip the spoon all the way forward, you kind of got to do this little jingle jangle situation in there to get all the flour out of the scoop. Next up, old head. Got a nice big scoop here. All right, and I'm going to go load my injector bowl. And we have made a mess. When you pile the material on top of here and you tip it forward, and all of the material that's on this side kind of just falls off to the side, is what happens a lot with that. And this one doesn't even really go in the bowl at all. So you're just kind of letting it fall from the top. I don't know. I would say not so much on this one. However, I will give the scoop this credit that the Norpros don't have, and that's the ability to tamp. So this can go in there, which is okay. You don't really have a lot of flexibility in the tamp. Like if your bowl is a little more full and you want to tamp the edge up at the top, you can't really do that because you're going to squish the middle way more than you would the edge because of the way that you have to angle this big tamper to really get a nice flat tamp is kind of hard because of the way that the bowl is tapered. And last up, we're going to go Simrell Scoopy Scoop with the desktop large bowl. Here we go. Let's see if we can get really a big mountain on there. Push the scoop to its limits. And so my bowl is on top, and we're going over the bowl. We just do a nice little dump. Whoo-hoo. That was a quick dump, too. We're going to do another one just because I want to do it. Big boom. Bloop. All right, I spilled like one little nug, one little crumb. So I'd say fit, great. That goes all the way in. It's really easy. And again, because you can kind of do this rotary style to just like dump it all out, it makes it really, really easy. Fits all the way in. Mess is really low. And then the tamper on this one is really nice. Because it's smaller, you can do a more precise flat tamp. It does take a couple extra little motions, to get it all flattened out, but you can get every little nook and cranny and make it a really flat surface on top. All right, well, there you have it. We have stashes, grinders, small bowls, big bowls. I think the Simrell Scoopy Scoop took it on all categories. I would say closely followed by the Norpros for me, just because there are a lot of different options here. And these are $8. $8. So that's pretty good. This, I don't know. I think there could be some improvements on it, and if I'm going to spend $40, I think I'd much rather just spend $50 and get the Simrell Scoopy Scoop. And last up, this is something that maybe a few people asked me not to share, but I'm going to share it anyways. This is over the top and absolutely unnecessary, but for those of you that like Dynavaps and are like, but does the Scoopy Scoop work with my Dynavap? The answer is yes. Most of you are probably asking, like, why would I have to use a Scoopy Scoop with a Dynavap? Because I can just stick it in there or do the straw method. I don't know, because some of us like to be extra. And although not designed or intended to be used with a Dynavap, but because I know some of my viewers are big Dynavap fans, we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you that the Scoopy Scoop does work with a Dynavap. And not only does it work with a Dynavap, it fits almost perfectly, almost like they were made for each other. So that's it. And then you can turn it around and the tamp fits just enough and actually stops. It doesn't go any further than that. It stops right there, which is just enough to get your material away from the cap. There you have it. The Simrell Scoopy Scoop. Let's click a cap in celebration of having a fun new accessory. So there you have it. The Simrell Scoopy Scoop works with everything. Let me know what you guys think about it, or if you guys know of any other awesome scoops I should check out. Also, stay tuned, because we are going to be running another giveaway in a future video coming up soon for who knows what. And as always, stay lifted.